Hello everyone, happy weekend. Hope you're doing well. This is Taylor Mo with True Trade, and let's get right into it. All right, here's the SPY ETF, the S&P 500. Daily chart remains in an uptrend, and we do not choose to fight the trend. If we go over to the 30-minute here, we can see the 5-day trend is still pointed up, and so we remain bullish on the market, and we look for bullish setups in the market. And let me tell you, there's a lot of opportunity coming into this week, and we're going to go through a lot of charts. This video might be a little lengthy, but I think there's a lot of value in this video today. So I hope you'll stay along until the end. The VWAP from this gap up, we're now below it. That's going to be our line of sand on the upside. That's 380, 350. If we do happen to come down at all, we would come down to either the bottom of this breakout gap here, and this former resistance, right? We have a pretty clear area here. And if we start to get below that, we want to use some caution. And, we might come down here to 380 and we want to see it pop right back above that. If we're having trouble in here holding and we cannot get back up, then that's where we would start to use caution, right? So 380 to 381 is where we want to see holding for the bull case to remain intact in the short term, okay? SMH continues to be a bit of a leader, but we do have a double top here and struggled a bit on Friday. So, we want to keep an eye on this. Does it start making lower highs? And for me, obviously this is the area that we'd want to see continue to hold. And so there's some room down to that. So we don't have too much room for caution as of right now, but something to keep an eye on. Tech continues to lead. A lot of big tech earnings coming up this week. And FANG earnings tend to pretty much always lead the market in the upward direction. And I don't think there's any reason to think that that would stop. But, we don't guess, we don't gamble. But the probabilities show that that's the likely thing to happen. Obviously, we're a bit extended in the tooth. And we see that volatility has not been making lower lows at all, right? And so we continue to monitor that. Maybe after these big tech earnings, we start to see some correction, whether it's in price or time. We will continue to monitor that. And it's very possible that after the expectation of these tech earnings, right, and the run up to them, that we digest a little bit, right? It's something we've been watching, and volatility continues to diverge. And so it's something we'll continue to be aware of and to monitor. IWM continues to lead the market to the upside, and there's really no change there. The tech QQQ has begun to recently, and so that's another thing we want to monitor. We were monitoring it here on Friday. We had a gap down, and we want to see, hey, does the IWM actually start rolling over here? And does it start leading to the downside? Well, it didn't. It led to the upside on Friday with a massive bounce. And that's, again, something we want to continue to monitor because, the IWM has been the leader. These small caps have been the leader. And so if they start to diverge and show weakness, that's going to be our first signal that the market could experience some correction in time or price. All right. First thing I want to do before we get into all the charts for this week is just look at PLTR and give a lesson on how to see these trades in real time and how you can trade them. And because these are A+ trades. This trade right here is an A+ trade. I played it this week. I probably didn't get as big as I should have. And so I'm not only doing this for me, but I'm doing it to show you guys and to give you a nice little lesson, right? And so this is something that I would call a trendy trade or a trend trade, right? So the long-term chart is extremely bullish. Huge run up, higher highs, right? It's holding in the upper, 30% of this up move, and that's really bullish, and it's not making any lower lows. We just stay in this consolidation, huge base. And so it's something we continue to monitor on shorter time frames, and we keep alerts on. And the first thing that really caught my attention here is we have this top, right, and we have this bottom, both very high volume. So we throw some anchored VWAPs on there, and we were watching it in here for a while, but there was nothing really clean, right? We'd come up here and find supply, and there were some trades in here. But then, guys, you have to review charts. You have to see these things setting up and then be ready for them. And we were, but I just want you to notice when a chart pattern is really clean and something's ready to break out, you'll see it. And you can see that this right here looks completely different than anything over here. This is super clean. It's a perfect, right? It's a perfect little wedge here. And it's super, super clean. And that's what you want to see in something that you're looking to trade on the upside. When there's no news and when you're just looking for a technical breakout, it's easy to see, right? And we're actually going to look at a couple that look very nice like this. And now let's go down to the intraday chart. Let's go to a 5-minute. So you set some alerts. Let's set an alert on the break over here, on the break over this high, on the break over some of these highs, and just so we're monitoring it, and as it maybe starts to break out, we can turn to it and trade it, because you have to be in this kind of stuff. So first, we have the long term incredibly bullish, and so we're waiting for this. Second, we're setting alerts, and we know when this kind of thing breaks out. It's got 9% short float. It can go. It has a super long base. And here's the first thing you want to look for: high volume opening drive. That's the first signal. You don't necessarily have to be in then, but okay, then you get an alert. Okay, it's over this high. And then you look for it to hold. Is it holding above VWAP? You just use VWAP, right? This is just the daily VWAP here. Does the intraday price action start to confirm what the longer term chart is saying? Could this be the day? And we were in all the way down here because this is what we saw. When you see something like this, guys, you have to get in. You have to get in. That's what we did. Was we added size in here, and then on the breakout, what do? You add size again. You put some bids in here. You see the confirmation, right? Let's say you just break over this high, and you add more. You retest it and hold, and make a new high. You add more. Because you know that the long-term chart supports what this is doing. You have the volume, you have the intraday confirmation here, and you get big. Not to mention, this is on Friday, same days. The same days we alerted here did 5,000%. I captured 500% and I rolled up. And I captured another 300% and I rolled up again. I got in some March swings. So I'm proud of how I traded it, but I just wish I was bigger. And something like this, you just have to be big in. All right, so, and yeah, just as you see, really it's this here, guys. You have to see this. You have to understand what it means in the bigger scheme of things and what it can do. And I mean, this was huge. So the point is, guys, go through these kind of charts. These charts that look like this, that are setting up, you have to just be checking them every day, every other day. Is it looking good? Is that 30-minute chart setting up to go? Set some alerts, okay? Huge trade. I hope you guys caught it. I hope you guys caught something on Friday or this week that was moving. There was a lot of great stuff. Okay, we're just going to go through real quick. We have a lot of charts. I'm going to try to make it quick. Apple has earnings coming up. And, this thing is huge. This is a momentum breakout. It's huge. All-time highs. It has a long base. This, guys, we were watching this. This was huge. We had options here this day on this break over the VWAP from the high. I mean, VWAPs make things so simple, guys. We got the daily close over, and what did we do? We gapped up huge, and we just ran to new all-time highs. And then here we close the week and the day at a new all-time high. And more than likely, with the expected tech run-up that typically happens, we'll see Apple at 150 this week. It's already over 140 in the after hours on Friday, and that's just likely what you'll see. You can probably play this with some momentum on the intraday charts. Look for those intraday long setups. Okay, Amazon. This had a nice breakout, and it's basing here. It's holding all right. And so this is another one we want to watch. there's a pretty nice inflection level that comes in right around where we are. You can see when we get above this, we hold, right? We get above this, we hold. And when we get below it, it's resistance, resistance, resistance. Here we hold, resistance. So we're holding above that. And so you want to look again on the intraday charts. Is it setting up, giving that same similar pattern of like holding above VWAP? Or does it dip down and then goes red to green really quick in the morning? You want to look for these kinds of setups. This is another one that, can potentially be bullish. It's not quite as trendy as some other stuff, and so I wouldn't call it an A+ trade, but this does have room to come up here to the trend, so it's definitely one to watch. Beyond, this one is setting up for potentially a really big move, and I think it's one we should be watching. It's been holding really nice over the VWAP from the IPO for a long, long time. And here's what we have is we have a really high volume bottom. We have a higher high, just what you want to see. This one really faked people out and we didn't get in. Why? Because it was trending down on the 50-day and we never broke over this VWAP. And so you stay out. But now, after Monday, this is going to start trending back up again because I believe this bar here gets taken out. And so what that's going to do is this is going to, I think this bar here gets taken out. One of these bars gets taken out, and this is going to start trending back up. And it has this really nice pullback here. It's a nice bull pullback. And then we have, off this VWAP, we have a really good candle here. We have this really good demand. You can see here, if we throw one onto here, you can see it never came up here and then had this really powerful up move, right? It never did that. And so this is a signal we really like. When something puts in a good low, it has a VWAP from that low, and then all of a sudden you pull back to it and there's a huge buy. That's what you want to see. And so this is one that I really think you guys should monitor this week. This is probably an A or an A+ setup based on technicals. And there's a huge amount of volume done here. And so if we start to break out of this, guys, this can really, really go probably up towards 165, 170. And maybe further. This thing tends to move really fast, really far. And yeah, this is a really good setup I see this week. EXPR, this one just broke out of a pretty big base here after a lot of volume, right? Big volume base. This shows accumulation. And you can see this is the first daily close along with the weekly close above the VWAP from this high. And the 50-day has started to trend up after a long base. You can see over here, same thing. 50 days starts trending up, it's basing, and this thing it moves pretty fast. So this is definitely one that can catch some momentum, come and test these highs, and we probably can make new highs there. Maybe we go further, I don't know, but trade it with your time frame, and it's another great bullish setup that I'm seeing. FCell, I would give this one probably an A as well. This one is very trendy, nice strong 50-day. And obviously with Biden presidency, these kind of stocks are doing well. And again, we have, let me change this. We have the VWAP from this low here. And then this high volume day. And so we're supporting that. And we finally saw this strong demand bounce right here. And we closed up above this pivot. Right here, you can see that inflection, close above, open below, resistance, resistance. We closed above it again, so that 18 level seems to be pretty important. So something I'd look for on FCell is, it's just a beautiful range. And so can we get a red to green here? Or can we just show strength right away on Monday's open with a nice opening drive above this? And I think that'd be a good reason to take a position. You can see the view up here, we closed above that. And so we just want to look for any strength on an intraday chart here at Monday open or Monday afternoon. And, this can probably go back to new all-time highs. First, we look for the gap at 19, but maybe new all-time highs. Definitely an A or an A+ setup there. IPO, this is an ETF, and it's just another really good setup that I saw. Nice, good consolidation right above where the 20-day moving average would be. And we finally broke up here. Right, we were kind of resisting this excuse me, my mouse is messing up, 70-50 area. We closed above that. And so, yeah, just looking really good. A lot of volume done right here. And it's staying really trendy. Another one I'm bullish on. Microsoft has earnings coming up. We found some supply up here. One thing I wanted to note is Microsoft had some extremely large volume on, I believe it was March monthly calls. It might have been some February as well. I'm talking like extremely large. I believe it was, so there was 102,000 volume done on the February 19th 245s. And so that's interesting to me, and I think it's one to watch. Again, it's not something that I would rate A+ because it's not as trendy. I like to focus on stuff with strong trends. It just works better. But Microsoft's one to watch. Maybe this one can start holding. I'd really look for it to hold above right there. That's my golden line in the sand, 224.40. Can we continue to hold above that potentially on Monday? It's got earnings on Tuesday. Can we actually form a nice base here and look bullish above 224.40? And that might even get me to take a little earnings YOLO. I don't really recommend taking earnings plays, but I might throw a little capital into it just because of the technicals and that interesting call volume. NEO, one that had a nice little tight base. I wouldn't rate this too high, but it's trendy. And if we bring the 20-day in here, it's there. I like to see a little bit tighter and longer consolidations than this, but it's above this view up from about 61.15, 61.10, and no doubt all time frames are trending up, and this is one that can definitely go higher. I think trade your time frame and trade your type of setup, but it's on the bullish list. And Knox, this is one we were watching back here. It's got a pretty high short float, and it tends to move very sporadically. It made a new all-time high on Friday, and this is one I'm not going to say much about it. I'm bullish on it. Look to buy dips and look for those intraday setups to go higher. This had a really, really long base, and it was a really good setup here, but I think it probably has more room to run. Nvidia, also one that's not as trendy, but what I want to note here is if you just focus on this zone here, we started to hold above it again, and so we got the weekly close as well as we have a really tight inside day here, which could be accumulation, it could be supply. So what we want to do is go ahead and be patient and wait for that intraday setup again. Look for something like PLTR, look for a break above the high of this inside day, and then we can try to come up here and test these highs, right? This inflection area, and who knows, maybe go to new all-time highs with all the tech earnings that we have. That could propel it to new highs. So it's definitely one to watch. I'd probably rate it about a B. It is something that can move a lot, but it's just not as trendy as other stuff. We looked at PLTR. I do think that has more upside, but we'll go ahead and see what it does. Plug. This one had a really nice consolidation here. It held up well. We went and tried to fill the gap, and we couldn't really get close. And now what we've done is we've gotten back above the view up from this very high volume high again. And so it's back on our radar. And, what we'd like to see here, I know there's a lot of crap on this screen. Let me clean it. So what we'd like to see here is, there's a resistance right around here, 68.50, let's call it. What I'd really like to see is that we come up here and make a new high and then kind of fail and then get tight in here as this 5 day starts to trend up, and then we get really tight, just a nice accumulation pattern, just like we saw on that PLTR intraday chart. And yeah, then I'd like to see that breakout and, likely go to more new highs. RYAM, this is one I played a long time ago, and I just pulled it up, and it's looking really good again. You can see this consolidation here. We had it marked as, potential targets in here, and we came up and went a little bit higher, and then we used it as support, and now we've closed The week above it here, we've closed a lot of days above it, and we're holding really, really nicely above the VWAP from this high. And so this is one that can potentially be a big mover. It tends to like to move, as you can see, really fast, really far. And it's going to be one that we keep our eyes on. And I'm sure you can see the resemblance in it to that PLTR chart, the 30-minute. It's a super, super clean pattern. I would rate this an A or A plus coming into this week. I think this is really clean, right? You can see the really, really nice wedge. And so this is when I have alerts set over all these highs, and I'm looking for that intraday strength, looking for that intraday setup. And, I'll probably do equity. I'm not sure if it has options or not. I've always played equity on it, but keep your eyes on it. Shop is one that's setting up with a really nice consolidation here. Very similar pattern to PLTR. Once again, really, really nice wedge, 5-day trending up. And the daily chart here is we're right above the 20-day. This should start turning up pretty soon, and then 50 days nicely trending up. So we have a pretty trendy thing here. And above all VWAPs from these high volume events, from the high here, if we throw that on, right, we're above that. So we're above just a huge amount of support here. And so really all we want to do is set some alerts over these highs, and we want to look for new all-time highs on Shopify. STWD, another A plus trade here. This one would be probably more a swing trade, but this is probably one of the cleanest setups that I've found this entire weekend. I think it's really great. When you get this kind of VWAP pinch here, and you have good volume accumulation patterns, there's a lot of good up days with high volume, and you just kind of settle down on the volume when you're in consolidation. And then you see something like this. This is huge, guys. This, I've seen things that can run really far off setups like this. And so 22 to 2250 would be the first area of interest. I should also note that this did absolutely massive volume on March calls on Friday. Huge volume. And so this is one that I will likely be entering. And just to show you the pattern the power of a pattern like this. This is one we traded that was really, really similar. It got so tight in between these two VWAPs, took off, and within, a month and a half, it was from 22 to 50, okay? And so that's just one example of something that can move like that with that type of pattern. And you can see this one is really, really similar. And perfectly off the 50-day, guys. This is one of my top setups into the next couple weeks. And we'll look at Tesla, of course, because why not? It has earnings coming up. And one thing I want to note here, if you look at this daily chart, we had an inside day here on Thursday. And as we came down here to test this VWAP, which has been support multiple times, we came down, tested it, and we bounced. And the important part is we closed back inside the inside day. When that happens, it's typically a trap, a bear trap. If it rejects this and we start, that means people who are buying in here have sold and it's turning into supply, and you want to be careful. But when this happens, guys, that means buyers are just too strong. Buyers want to buy this dip. Buyers up here don't even care to sell. Or buyers up here sold, and then there's just more people that want to buy the dip. And so buyers are totally in control of Tesla right now. And I would favor a breakout within the next week, probably before earnings. Always look for confirmation and look at the intraday chart, but huge setup in Tesla that can potentially move. I hope you guys found value in this. You found some good stocks you want to play. Sorry it was so lengthy, but if you want live updates on the market every day with trade ideas, go check out my Twitter in the description. I'm pretty active on there. And our True Trade website is now up. We post blogs very often with market updates and just educational stuff. You can go ahead and submit your email on the site to receive these right to your inbox. And you can sign up on there as well for our Discord, get the 7-week free trial, all of that. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. Peace.